Okay, so we're given an equation. So function n of t equals 450 divided by 1 plus blah, 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 blah. It models the number of people in town who have heard a rumor after t days. Okay, you can use this type of equation for lots of modeling. It doesn't have to be just rumors. This is a logistic equation. You'll see it if you ever end up studying machine learning. I think that's usually how they start talking about categorizing between two different categories like spam and not spam. The logistic equation is like the basis for that study. I'm sure they use more complicated functions too, but yeah, the logistic function. Okay, well that's going off topic. Let's just stick with this. As t increases without bound, what does the value of n of t approach? So as t increases, so as t goes to positive infinity, that means it's increasing without bound. What happens? Look, the numerator stays the same. It stays at 450. Now the denominator, you have 49 plus e to the negative 0.7 times t, so that means times some really big positive number, right? If you were to take e and raise it to the power of, let's say, negative a million, invalid input, I think it's just because it's so close to 0. Let's try something smaller. E to the power of, let's say, 1,000 negative. Gets really close to 0. That's times 10 to the negative 435th power. So as t gets really, really big, negative 0.7 times t shrinks it back down to Earth, right? A little bit, but I shouldn't say shrinks back down to Earth. That's not the point here. E to some really big negative power is getting close to 0. So 49 times 0 is going to make 0. So this is basically 450 divided by 1. As n of t approaches 450 as t goes infinity. How many people started the rumor? That first part, what they want to know is how many at ground 0 at time t equals 0. And so that looks to be 450 over 1 plus 49. So because if you plug in t equals 0, e to the 0 power is 1, which is different than what happens when t goes to infinity, right? So we got 450 divided by 50, so that makes 9. Looks like 9 people started this rumor. N of t is limited by the carrying capacity of the town. It's not limited by the number of people who start the rumor, okay? Because it could have been, you could have had the number 60 here, number 70 here. It doesn't change the limit, right? As t goes to infinity, even if this was like 700, which wouldn't really make much sense, but even if that number was 700, this goes, the e to the negative 0.7 t goes to 0. So it would multiply and make this be 0. So it's not limited by the number of people who started the rumor. Limited by the rate at which the rumor spreads, that would be impacted by this negative 0.7. That could be negative 0.5. But eventually, as t goes to infinity, even if this is negative 0.5 or negative 0.1, this e to the negative 0.7 t term is going to 0. So that's not it either. Carrying capacity of the town. If you haven't seen this phrase, I think it came up in our reading, but what the carrying capacity of the town is like how many people can possibly have this rumor. You know, how many people can hear this. So that definitely would be a limiting factor. N of t is limited by the number of days. No, we said we're interpreting as t goes to infinity, so that's not a limit. We're saying t can go on infinitely. And n of t is not limited by any value and increases without bound. That's not true because we just said as t goes to infinity, n of t goes to 450. Okay, so let's just check that, make sure everything's okay. Question 12. Yeah, everything looks good there. Okay, so you have slightly different numbers for yours, but if you follow those steps, just message me if you try to follow those steps and you get lost somewhere, okay?